Soul, how you doing?
I've made a huge mistake.
They said you were the best in the parsec.
Welcome to
Parsec Passion, a podcast about Star Wars television shows. My name's Bubba, and with me, as always, is someone who would have left the twins behind with the witches. No questions asked. The witches could have been killing the twins. He wouldn't have done anything. It's Catfish.
Bubba. Whenever you introduce me, it's usually something disparaging. But in this case, I am completely correct, and I would have been correct to do this. And I just am the main reason I'm excited for this podcast is just to hear your mea culpa about Soul. I can't wait to hear that.
Listeners, we're talking about The Acolyte, Season 1, Episode 7, entitled Choice. A bitter truth is revealed. If you haven't seen these first 7 episodes of The Acolyte, get off Brendock. Don't read about what happened 16 years ago. Watch the episode and then come back and watch us. On this week's podcast, we're going to do our typical Acolyte breakdowns with the Himbo moments of the week. Our Jedi or real life person that we want on May's kill list. The Han Solo comedy moment of the week. And where was Basil? We needed him this week. Plus, our musical expert, Double M, is going to be breaking down the score from episode 7.
Yes.
That's the musical score he's going to be breaking down. Catfish, what is your rating out of 10 for episode 7 of The Acolyte?
Bubba, I'm going to give this 7 triple V's out of 10.
Wait, triple V's?
Yes, that is a virgin's vigilance.
Okay.
He was uninitiated in the ways of making the beast with one lightsaber and 2 backs.
Oh, no.
He's warned to stay vigilant during the Virgins.
Yes.
Unfortunately, not everybody gets the memo, and we get the dreaded double K.
Wait, double Ks?
Yeah, crazy Cal Naka. We also find out that while May has dark power, Osha's power is having the power of Masters fall for her.
That's true. Everybody, dark side, light side, they want Osha as their apprentice.
I mean, on the last pod, I was worried about the age differences between the Keymaster and Osha, but it gets for sure icky here.
Oh, come on.
Okay, all right. Well, it's true. Soul doesn't want Osha. He Padawants her. He wants her for his Padawan so bad, he Padawants her. Loyal listeners know that I hate what I call the Romeo and Juliet trope. And that is a trope where horrible things happen because of a misunderstanding. Somebody forgot to tell somebody something like that. It happens.
Catfish. This happens in great works of literature, like Romeo and Juliet, Three's Company.
Well, again, this is why I pointed out, and this is why I make a bow to Romeo and Juliet, because yes, this is something that happens in literature and well-appreciated literature, but I do feel like it's kind of a cheat. I want things to happen not because, whoops, a mistake happens. I want things to happen because people want them to happen. So yes, that's my particular picadillo. So, in this one we have Indara and Kelnaka. They could have easily done more to say to the witches, like, all right, look, Soul and Torben are out of place here. They've stepped over their bounds. Don't worry about it. The other thing too, how about our good old Mama Witch?
Which one, Mama Anasea or Mother Coral? We got a light side mother and a dark side mother.
All right, it's the mother who decides to not tell them that sure, Osha can go with you until she's been stabbed to death, Smokey style. She taunts them before, and then after Smokey style, she says whatever. But you know what? We did get to see that Soul has been broken bad for a long time. Broken bad. I don't know which hair of his is worse, the short hair or the fake long hair.
Oh my goodness!
But I had to put minus one for no Basil.
Holy smokes, Catfish! A lot of thoughts, a lot of attacking of a good guy's soul. 7 out of 10. That's tough.
What about you, Bubba? What did you give this episode?
Well, it's going to be interesting for our listeners because I'm going to say a lot of different things from you.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also going to give this, 7 double D's out of 10.
Double D's?
Well, yes, everybody knows when you're talking about witches, double D stands for ding dong, the witch is dead. Witch, old witch, every witch. Ding dong, all the witches dead. They've gone where the witches go. A hole, soul punched a hole right through mother's heart. And ring the ring out. Ding dong, the merry-o. Sing it high, sing it low. Let them know every witch is dead. So I'm only going 7 out of 10. To be honest, this is a weird thing to say. So many choices that the creators of this show, the writers of this show have done in this episode are actually correct. It should be a tragic mistake. Speaking of Romeo and Juliet, it should be tragedy. Soul, the person we've seen through 6 episodes, is not an evil SOB. He's somebody who is like anybody, can make a terrible mistake in a rash judgment. And so I think that actually was perfect, how Soul's motivation and how everything went wrong. I'm giving it 7 out of 10 because it was painful to watch. It was so painful for me to watch, I wanted to rate it lower. But when I do my show notes and I'm watching the show, I had 3 oh snap moments. And I consider oh snap moments good because it's like, whoa, this terrible thing's going to happen, or, oh, this incredible thing happens. And so in this episode, they were 3 terrible things, but it did get me to sit up 3 times and go, oh no, oh no. So once again, it probably should be higher than 7 out of 10. It was just, maybe this is once again a sign of its success. It was really, really tough to watch. What I want to wrap up by saying is that when we heard about this show, Disney hasn't known how to sell this show. And in some ways, I don't blame Disney Plus for not knowing how to sell the show. One of the things that they said trying to sell it was that, how about a show from the Sith point of view? But what is interesting is this episode really shows us why there are times that the Jedi way is the right way. You shouldn't be acting out emotional like Soul does in this episode. You should put some thought. You should proceed with caution. And so Indara constantly saying, let's contact the Jedi Council. Hold on, Soul. Hold on, Torben. We can't let our emotions guide us. We got to, be led by our brains, not our heart, and lead with caution rather than passion. What's funny is we've seen a lot of things, including many of the movies, where we're like, Jedi, why are you behaving like this? You're kind of causing your own problem. But here, we're seeing how the Sith way, how acting over emotional can cause problems. So I thought it was good. It was devastating because I do like Soul so much, and I think he is blameless. But it was just a tough watch. If it had been if I could have somehow, I've watched tragedies, I've enjoyed tragedies, but in this particular case, watching this kind of pointless tragedy, and once again, I've seen great pointless tragedy movies and things that I've really enjoyed. This one, I just couldn't. It was, like I wanted to look away. It was a car crash that I wanted to look away from, but I kept my eyes on. So 7 out of 10 from me. Catfish, what do we say to our listeners about our ratings?
That they don't mean jack squat, and we want to hear your ratings, so much so that we save your readings till what I call the best part of the podcast, where you guys generate all the content through your reviews and your comments.
Yes, and we have already some comments here. Ooh. Even though the episode hasn't been out even 24 hours. We've got some comments from you listeners, your thoughts on episode 7. So we're going to get to them in a bit. Who cares what we think? We want to know what you think. The way you tell us what you think is you reach out to us on social media at PHQ. We're double single letter P for podcast, HQ for headquarters, at PHQ on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, Facebook, YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, hey, it's real easy. Go down and leave us a comment. You guys have been great about leaving comments all season long, even on the 4th of July holiday, which was last week on episode 6. So we really, really appreciate it. Catfish, before we dive into this 7 out of 10 episode for us, let's talk about some news. And we always say, who cares what we think? We want to know what you think. In this news, we're always going to say, when we talk about streaming ratings, streaming Nielsen ratings, we always say, take this with the biggest grain of salt. Take this with a gallon of salt. Streaming ratings you can't truly trust. But here's what Nielsen, who is a company, if any company is going to be close, Nielsen would be kind of the closest on what you could trust. And so Nielsen looked at the first 2 episodes ratings, and the Acolyte dropped the first 2 episodes at once, just like Obi-Wan Kenobi did and others. So it looked at the first 2 episodes. How did they do their first week on Disney Plus? And so the number 1 show for first 2 episodes is Kenobi, 11 million, the first 2 episodes, the first week when those 2 dropped together. Number 2, Boba Fett, 10 million.
Whoa.
Number 3, Ahsoka, 8 million. Number 4, The Acolyte with 6 million. And then Andor in last place with only 5 million.
The best one. But Bubba, where is Mando and Grogu in here?
Well, what's so tricky about this, probably a more likely chance that Nielsen also wasn't easily tracking streaming ratings then. So the first season, the first 2 episodes of Mando don't make the cut. Again, to me, these ratings kind of don't mean anything. They're not real. They're guesstimates on guesstimates. What I would say is if you look at this list, in some ways, if you're the Acolyte, you would feel pretty good. All these other shows, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Boba Fett, Ahsoka, and Andor, they were for characters that existed before the show debuted. The Acolyte's the first one where like none of these characters existed before the show debuted, except for Nestra, who's, kind of a side minor character. All the other characters are brand new. This is a time frame that Disney's never done before. So in some ways, 6 million is good. In another way, if you can make a Obi-Wan and get 11 million that first 2 weeks, if you're Disney Plus, you'd be like, boy, let's just make Obi-Wan's till the end of time. So,
well, my question to you is this, Bubba. Let's look over this list and figure out which ones either have been picked up or might have a second season.
Obi-Wan Kenobi, I think if they find a story and Ewan McGregor's willing to do it, I think they do a second season in a heartbeat. But the Book of Boba Fett's an interesting one. 10 million, that's a great rating. People love Boba Fett. But in some ways, you could tell that show kind of didn't have a great plan. The fact that 2 episodes of the Book of Boba Fett were really episodes of The Mandalorian.
Well, so, the fact is, it's not just 2. It was the last 2, Bubba.
Two of the last 3. Yeah, 2 of the last 3.
We don't trust Boba to land this plane, so we're going to bring in Mando and Grogu.
See, I don't think that's what it was. I think it was that they didn't have a great plan for it. I think they thought, oh boy, Boba Fett was great in this one episode of The Mandalorian, and he was in all the others at the end of season 2 of The Mandalorian. And so they thought, oh, let's do one about Boba Fett. Oh, but we've got all these resources built for the Mandalorian. I don't know. But they didn't give that a second season. Ahsoka, they are giving a second season, but they waited a real long time to announce there was going to be a second season of Ahsoka. I really think, once again, that doesn't have anything to do with ratings or the quality of Ahsoka. It had to do that Disney suddenly decided, hey, we actually make more money when we make films rather than TV shows. Let's make fewer TV shows and more films. Do we want to make a second season of Ahsoka? They hemmed and hawed, said, oh, well, let's do it. We got everything. Acolyte, we don't, as of the recording of this podcast, there's no announcement of a second season. Again, I think forget ratings or people's reaction to it. I think the big thing is, does Disney still want to be in the Star Wars television making business at this level where, once again, they make so much more money on movies? And Pixar's Inside Out 2 is really showing that. Andor is going to get a second season. It's only going to get a second season. It's going to end after the second season, but that really does seem like it was the creative saying, this show's an awful lot of work. Let's only do 2 seasons of Andor. So Andor and Ahsoka, we know they're getting a second season, but even Mando, they're moving it to the movies so they can make more money. So.
All right, Bubba, now that we've had that, we have to go to Team Osha or Team May.
Here we go.
We pick whose team we're going to be on.
Yes.
Bubba, whose team are you going to be on this week?
Catfish, Osha and May, 2 as 1, the power of 2. So that T is constant, right? The power of 2, team. So I picked Team Torben. I am Team Torben this week because I've been camping. I've been out and been like, this vacation stinks. Let's go home. And so for that, I'm on Team Torben. And to give him the only credit he deserves, because he was kind of terrible in this episode, Prince Tommen Torben, when he had to whip out his lightsaber and beat all those witches who were firing shots at him, he actually was great with the lightsaber. So tip of my cap to you, Torben. You lost an eye, but you gained no respect. So Team Torben for me this week. If I have to choose Osha or May maybe I'm still Team Osha because May literally started a terrible fire by accident. Terrible May. Team Osha for me. Team Torben for me. What about you, Catfish? Which team are you on this week?
Bubba, I'm gonna go with Team Osha this week.
Only
for this reason.
Okay.
Through the entirety of my schooling years, all through high school, all through college, never once did I cheat on an exam or a test.
Oh.
But post-college, I had to take a test for TGI Fridays where you had to know all the 13 different items that were in every salad. You had to know in which order to call the drinks, what were drinks. And so I completely cheated on the TGI Fridays waiter test. So like Team Osha cheating on her Jedi test, I'm with her this week.
All right. Hey, now we're talking about we're picking based on episode 7. We had a listener, the Lowdown Show, picked a team after episode 6. So Catfish, which team is the Lowdown Show on after episode 6?
The Lowdown Show is on Team May. Because Soul's about to tell her the truth that can impact her views. I don't think if Soul's going to tell her the truth, it's going to be any different than what she thought the truth was.
We need a reaction on her face when Soul says, I had to make a choice, and I decided to save your sister and let you fall. Is that why he strapped her to the table? Is that why he strapped her down?
Amazingly, you said choice. So here's the question. Episode 7 is called Choice. So what was the biggest choice in this episode? You mentioned one of them. Saul decides to save Osha, not May, because why, Bubba? He Padawans her.
Oh, boy. Okay.
I'm trying to get this trending, Bubba. I'm so proud of myself for coming up with that. How much he Padawans her.
Mother Anasea chose to enter Torben's mind when the Jedis entered her house.
Ooh, I've got to. When we get there, I've got some questions for you about that, Bubba.
Sure.
All right. Mother Coral chooses to tell May to get mad. That's another choice.
My mother never told me to get mad, so I'm very respectful of Mother Coral.
No, your mother always told you to get even, Bubba.
No, Soul chooses to act without waiting to hear from the council. That's an interesting choice. Soul also chooses, as we mentioned, to save Osha, not May. Indara chooses not to tell the truth to Osha when she wakes up.
And then it's your, we have to reflect on your choice for the past 6 episodes to choose Soul as your hero when signs all along were pointing to danger on that point. All right, what was the biggest choice of this episode, Bubba? Of all those, what was the biggest choice?
When Soul chose to save 2 young girls from an evil coven of witches. That was the biggest choice.
Now,
to save one young girl.
Yeah. That kind of misunderstanding, that I didn't mind. The whole thing that started this is Soul's like, he doesn't understand that they're being trained, May and Osha. He thinks they're being punished. So that's completely understandable why that leads him for a while in the direction that he goes in.
Big hero. Thank you, Catfish.
I am going to choose simply because we had Soul, who was really the only one who was like, we need to do all this.
Yep.
But the choice that I don't understand, and I want to talk later, and I think set all the other Jedi against the witches, were Mother Anasea messing with Torben.
Yes.
Because without her doing that, it's basically Soul saying we got to save him, and everybody else saying, well, kind of let's live and let live over here. Also, let's let the planet live.
Nah. What'd the planet ever do for us?
Yeah. So to me, I think that was the biggest choice, even though I have some ideas why she might have wanted to do it, but it was why it was a bad idea.
100%. 100%. A lot of mistakes were made by everybody but Soul. Thank you, Catfish.
Oh, God.
All right, well, let's get into it. You ready to go back 16 years to the great system of Brendock?
Let's go back in time.
It's 16 years earlier. But Kalnaka, 16 years ago, was still acting like a grandpa. He's out with his metal detector trying to find some good old-fashioned virgins on the planet there. And, they've got the worst assignment. You're going to be a Jedi. You're going to be a ranger out there bringing justice to the galaxy. No, you four are going to go out and take soil samples. Oh, and Torben, yes, he's a Padawan. He's a bratty teen, but he's been out here for 7 weeks just looking at dirt. There's nothing going on. I don't blame him for saying, hey, let's go home.
Well, also, he seems to indicate later on in the episode that even when this was over, they weren't going to quite be able to go home. So he's homesick.
Well, Catfish, before we go any further, I just want to say, because all Star Wars nerds are mentioning it, this planet Brendok, they say it was lifeless after a hyperspace disaster 100 years prior. If you've read the High Republic book series, the very first book in the High Republic book series, which now came out 2, 3, possibly 4 or 5 years ago, I did read. It was about this hyperspace disaster and how the Jedi rescued it. And let me say that I've read 4 or 5 of the High Republic novels, and those first 2 adult High Republic novels are, in my opinion, 2 of the best Star Wars books I've ever read. And so it's real funny that here they're getting a little shout out on Brendok, a planet which the Jedi didn't save, apparently, from the hyperspace disaster. But
okay, so I just want to be clear. Yeah. So the Jedi destroyed this planet.
No, it was no.
Okay, they didn't save the planet.
Yeah, sure.
It came back, and after a while, you realize, and Dara's like, this planet just doesn't recover. Look, Torben, you dope. A planet doesn't recover. There must be some cool stuff happening here. So then the plan, as I understand it, Bubba, is this planet we didn't save before, but it's beautiful now. So let's just destroy the people who revived it.
That's what we've got to do. You're saying this planet's so great. I don't see a water park anywhere. I don't see a mall. Where is Torben going to hang out? He hates.
That's coming, Bubba.
Okay. Now, our boy Soul says, hey, this is a noble mission, right? But what's interesting is that Torben's complaining, and he says they've been there 7 weeks. Nobody told him this earlier? Like, hey, we're looking for a virgin. This could be a great discovery, kid. Yes, it's boring right now, but it could be awesome. And then, listen, Jedi are not supposed to pick at your scab. Indara, who is really great in this episode, but Indara says to Soul, that's why I have a Padawan and you do not. Ouch! No wonder he Padawans somebody. He's getting dissed by his buddies.
But this is part of his downfall. He Padawans somebody so bad, he Padawans somebody who's not able to be a true Padawan.
She's just a little old. A lot of times when you're going after girls, you never hear she's too old.
Oh, certainly no one's ever told Soul that.
Apparently not. Now, do you like the fact that we have these twins, Osha and May, and how one of them seems to be drawn to the light and one seems to be drawn to the dark?
Yes.
But we also have these masters. Both masters want an apprentice, Catfish. This is crazy.
This is what I told you. This is Osha's special trait is she gets dudes to want to be her master. It's her own thing, Too bad these guys never thought, hey, you know what? There's this group. They've got these 2 twins. Right. They've got one light, one dark. Yeah. Maybe they've got some special plan. We don't care about any of that. We're going to kill you guys, and then on the way out, we're going to space bomb this planet again.
Are you talking about the Jedi or the stranger?
The Jedi.
Hey now. Now Soul finds these 2 girls who are using the Force. He can tell that they are using the Force. Then some creepy horned-headed woman comes up and yells at him to, come with me. Of course, Soul is going to protect them by following them home from a distance.
Bubba, I just want to go back and listen to that sentence again.
Yes.
So Soul is hiding in the bushes watching these 2 girls, and it's the woman who tells him to stop is being creepy.
Where else are you supposed to watch the girls from but not the bushes?
Oh my God.
There could be a virgin in the bush.
Well, you know what they say?
Yeah.
A virgin's in the hand is worth two in the bush.
Now, listen, exactly. Now,
Mhm.
Soul sneaks into their evil fortress. And
Oh,
what does he
boy.
see? He sees women pushing against the two girls with a force. What is he supposed to think, Catfish?
I better save just one of them, I guess.
Exactly right. It's too hard. So he goes back to Indara and he mentions this.
Mhm.
And she wants to, she's like, well, let me ask the boss. And he's like, but what if the girls are in danger right now? Come with me. See what I've seen. What's it going to hurt? Come and look for yourself.
Yeah. What's it going to hurt? You know what? Indara's only problem is she couldn't say no to Soul. That's her real
Exactly.
problem.
Me
because
neither.
she's like, let's go. I'll go in alone. I'll handle this. Soul's like, no, we got to go in because there's over 50 witches because she
Right.
doesn't trust them.
Mhm.
And now
Of course not.
Anastasia goes right into Torben's mind.
Yes.
And she taunts him with a couple of things.
Oh, she
One,
does.
you're stuck here, you're good, but also as a Jedi, you have to suppress some of your urges.
You're a son of paupers. That's not a cool thing to say in somebody's mind, or in behind their back, in front of their face, or in their mind. You don't call somebody, yeah, you're the son of paupers. Ouch.
Bubba, if she was coming on to me that hard, she could call me whatever she wants. Because once again, we see somebody trying to seduce someone.
Oh, yeah.
To the dark side. Bubba, all the times people talking about the dark side, the seduction part of the dark side has never been so damn sexy as it has in this version of Star Wars, presumably a kiddie-friendly show. The steamy sexual appeal is off the charts here.
Listen to me. Listen to me, Catfish. She says, your master denies you. Mm-hmm. I would not keep you from what you want. Mm-hmm. I would always let you have what you need. Why not ask me? Go on, ask me.
And what does he say to that?
He says, how do I log on to only Star Wars fans? And she's like, oh.
He says, I want to return to Coruscant. Oh, you asked.
Euphemism.
She's like, yeah, you ask for so little. So she tells him to kneel, and that's when we see what we saw in episode 1. He goes to the ground. It's episode, right? I need for you to tell me what she's doing here, because it doesn't make sense if she's trying to do it to get them to go, because she's showing that she's dangerous. If she's trying to get him to convince him to go, he's the junior partner. If it's trying to turn him to the dark side, that's fine, but I'm still not exactly sure what this is. And again, this is a huge mistake to be everybody comes in, they're like, all right, we want to see if you're cool or not. Oh, well, let me show you completely take over one of your buddies' bodies. Bubba, that is not cool.
Well, okay. I think it was a wrong move. If she could go back in time, but she can't because she's dead. But if she could, here's what she thinks.
Okay.
My house is locked. The Jedi sliced, which is a fancy way of saying they hacked their way into my house. They're here in my house. They're interrupting a religious ceremony, is what she's thinking. This, power of two ceremony they're doing with the twins. This is a non-Republic planet, so they shouldn't have any authority here. And so she is angry. She's emotional. She wants to strike out at the Jedi. I believe the way we should kind of take it is, I can only get into the mind by myself, the power of one. I can only get into a mind of somebody weak like this teenage Padawan Torben. But if we all banded together, we could get into the mind of this giant, powerful Wookiee. But, she did something by herself because she was upset because they came into her house. She thinks they're threatening her kids. So I think, once again, this was a terrible mistake. But from her point of view, I could see why she'd do it. To show the Jedi, hey, you're showing the lightsabers. Like they weren't turned on, I'm pretty sure, but they were showing. Saul's like, hey, I've got a lightsaber right here.
Except for Torben's. Torben's was definitely turned on.
Hey, no.
It's still, in the end, it's not smart. No. Also, you're not really showing a lot of power if you take on the weakest one.
True, but maybe if you think the Jedi would act like you would, like, she gets very angry because they're coming for her kids. Maybe she thinks, well, this will kind of show them, hey, I'll come for your kids.
All right.
Maybe.
Well, I would
the Jedi do
to
leave.
I'd like to hear what our listeners have to say about this. What they thought her ultimate goal was, because somebody's going to know, and it's not me, and I'm not convinced that it's you either.
Now listen, back on the ship,
Yeah.
Dora and Saul, they're talking to Torben. Hey, you doing? Saul, I think, is really perfect here. He doesn't do anything wrong. He says, listen, this is obviously a sign. We've been on this planet for 7 weeks. I don't have a Padawan. Here's a kid who has the Force powers. Osha is meant to be my Padawan. What else could it be, Catfish? See, you can't even come up with another answer. You agree with Saul. This is wonderful. They marked her sister with dark magic. Saul asked the question, who is protecting this child, if not the Jedi? Won't somebody think of the children?
Someone does think of the children, because Indira says right away, do not confuse what Osha wants with what you want, or what you Padawan want.
Listen, it's the same thing. Big deal.
It is not.
Come on. All right, it's the next morning. Torben is still not right in the head. And you're right that Mother Anasea going into Torben's mind, a million things went wrong. If you could not have that happen, it would be better. Torben takes May's blood test. We'd already seen him take Osha's. May does the test. And she said she was going to fail it. She's trying to fail it. And she's pretty much just saying, listen, what do you want me to do? Let me do anything. And then they get her talking about, hey, you got this mark on your forehead. What was going on last night?
That's really cool. That mark is super cool. Tell me more about that mark.
Yeah, it's part of Ascension. We're going to become leaders, my little sister and me. Mama said everyone must walk through fear. And fear is like, stranger danger to the Jedi. They hear the word fear. That's not good. And then May continues. She says, everyone must be sacrificed. Everyone must be sacrificed to fulfill their destiny.
You know what word makes me think of stranger danger?
What?
Soul.
What? No, because he protects kids from it. Good point.
Sure, good point. All right. So, yeah, sorry. Go ahead. I interrupted.
But listen, May is saying, my mom tells me that everybody's got to walk through fear and everybody must be sacrificed to fulfill their destiny. That doesn't sound good. Now, you're right. This is a kid. You want to go a bit deeper. What exactly is your mother saying here? But that does not sound good, Catfish. If you wouldn't let a kid just kind of say, Mom says everybody has to be sacrificed. You would not say, okay.
Yeah, but this is after she's like, we're going to be leading. The power of two. We're going to lead.
I don't know what to say. Osha comes in. She passes her test. Now, admittedly, Sol almost has to trick her into passing her test. We find out, hey, the council said she's too old. She's got a family she's attached to. They're witches. Torben doesn't like the witches either. This is not good. And Indara is telling Sol, do not alter this little girl's destiny. And remember, destiny, I'm pretty sure, was the title of episode 3, which we first saw these events from. She says, do not alter this little girl's destiny because you formed an emotional attachment to her. Catfish, do you think that's why Sol is trying so hard to make her be a Jedi in his Padawan? What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, how many more times can I say it? He Padawans her so hard.
How hard does he want her?
He Padawans it.
Okay, listen. Torben comes back, and he's a frustrated teen. He's like, listen, their midichlorian count is high. But guess what? There's something else weird. They're pretty much identical. These could be clones. There's something funny going on with these kids. We've been trapped here 7 weeks. I've been trapped here 7 weeks. I want to go home. These girls are the vengeance. Let's go get them. The end. Now, Torben obviously is correct for thinking this, right?
Oh, my God. I mean, this is...
Well, you defend him. I'm sick of defending Torben. You defend him.
Why do I need to defend him?
This is a podcast with 2 hosts. Somebody has to defend.
All right, Torben. He's tired of waxing his lightsaber by himself.
Okay, stop defending him. Now I see why I have to defend him. Then we're going to the Witch Coven. So, in other words, the Jedi are coming. This is all bad. How about this? Do you feel like Sol may be incredibly naive and wrong. But do you believe all the Jedi's intentions were good? Even Torben's. Do you believe Torben's intention was good? Like he said before he committed suicide, May brought him that poison when he finally came out of his meditation trance there. And he said, we thought we were doing the right thing. I do think, say what you will with the end result and really the truth behind it, I do think they thought they were doing the right thing.
I don't think Torben thought he was doing the right thing. Torben was doing what he needed to do to get off the planet. Sol thought he was doing the right thing, even though it was the wrong thing. And Indira and Kelnaka were like, Sol is doing the wrong thing, so we have to stop him from doing the wrong thing. So they were doing the right thing. So,
okay,
and then
Jedi were doing the
Kelnaka
right thing.
breaks bad. So 3 out of the 4 of the Jedi were doing the completely wrong thing.
Oh, come on. Now, wait a minute. Let's not. You're always
until the end. Sorry, until the end of the episode, when Indira completes the
trifecta,
the circle,
the
quadrology, by making a bad decision.
Now, hold on.
Yeah.
Once again, you seem to be so pro witch. Mother Coral pulls May aside and gives her this tough love speech. You want to stop Osha from leaving? Then stop her. Good girl. Get mad. That's not, you don't say that to a kid. Come on.
Yeah, right. Get even.
Defend Mother Coral. If I'm defending the Jedi, you defend Mother Coral. Let's hear it.
Oh, absolutely. I'll defend Mother Coral. Look, we got to stand up against these punks. These punks came in here. These punks, they go against our religion.
Monks.
These punks go against our religions. These punky monks, they go against our religion.
Sure.
And now they're trying to steal your sister. They brainwashed her. You have got to get her back. You've got to get mad because you are responsible. You don't need anyone to tell you when you have achieved, perfection and you no longer have to be a Padawan. This is your time. You have to help defend this group from these evil, marauding Jedis.
Mormons. Now listen, how about this?
Yeah.
Mother Coral says, I would die before I let the Jedi take my children. And I'll give her this. She's a witch of her word. But the Jedi weren't taking. Osha wanted to go. So they were like accepting. They're not taking, they're receiving.
Yeah, sure.
How about this? May did start the fire. Billy Joel Getter, she started the fire.
Yeah, okay. Whoop-dee. She started a fire. It wasn't like she went into 30 people's minds and killed them all at once. Oh, whoops.
Oh, yeah. They did. Well, listen, the soul says it. We come with noble intentions. The twins, where did they come from? How were they created? And then Mother Anasea, being very wicked, says someday those noble intentions will destroy every Jedi in the galaxy.
Except for Sol, because he doesn't have noble intentions.
How dare you? How dare you? May runs to her mom, and Mother Anasea, she's doing a witch move, correct? She is totally becoming a witch, and so Sol stabbed her with his lightsaber. Sol, after that, after killing one witch, he stops fighting, just like a nonviolent Jedi would.
Right, and Mother Anasea with her dying words were, I forgot to tell you, you can take her.
Maybe she only said that because he stabbed her.
No, she was willing to let her go. We know that. Okay,
so now, once again, the power of many, in this case, many witches combine their power to take control of big, powerful Wookiee Kalnaka. And then...
Hey, I have to say this.
Yeah.
Here's one way I'll defend your boy Torben.
Let's hear it.
He was blocking them out. He said, I've been concentrating, whatever. He was keeping them out.
Right.
Not Kelnaka. He was sloppy.
Well, he had 50 of them coming for him.
Sloppy.
All right. So what did you think of this fight where Sol and Torben have to save themselves while also kind of not trying to kill their friend Kalnaka? Sol did actually a really good job. But what did you think of the fight?
I liked the fight, despite the fact that we knew they were all going to be alive to get killed deliciously later and justifiably.
Now, Indara, the main witch killer, which you seem to defend for so many times, She comes and like, let me get these evil witches out of Kalnaka's mind. That is a violation. So she snaps them out of Kalnaka's mind, and she didn't actually realize that by snapping the consciousness out of Kalnaka, where did it go? Well, it didn't return to their bodies. All these witches, they collapse and die.
Bubba, this is what I call a mass upload to the Force.
Somewhere Jackie is very, very happy.
She sure is.
And then my final, so Soul stabbing Mother Anasea. That was my first snap. Indara forcing the witches out of Kalnaka's mind, and that causing all the witches to collapse and die. That was an snap moment. My final snap moment is Soul is running to save the girls. He's holding these bridges up to save both girls. His concentration in the Force is shaking. He can't hold the bridges up, and he makes a choice, Catfish. Does he make the right choice?
I mean, I guess he you know what? The heart Potter wants what it Potter wants.
Well, the fact that earlier in the episode, May had come out and he called May Osha, not realizing it was May, and then he stabbed Mother Anasea and May saw it. He definitely saved the one who didn't know his big boo-boo earlier. So Indara is upset, and she is very PO'd at what Soul did. He's gonna, he realizes he made one or two minor mistakes. So he says, we will tell the council the truth. And then Indara says, no, if you tell the council the truth, this girl who's just now lost her entire family, her entire coven, she had one desire to be a Jedi. If you tell the council the truth, she won't even get to be a Jedi, and you'll ruin her dream. You've already ruined her life. Now you're going to ruin her dream. Is this the right move for Indara or no?
That doesn't make any sense. The council already said she's too old. Soul helped her cheat on the test. She's got to go. She's not Jedi material. This is just horrible. Horrible.
Now, Indara does tell Soul, she says, ask yourself why you made this choice.
He never does.
Is that what he's going to do in the final episode? There's only one episode left. Is he going to at least tell the girls, I saw you, I saw your potential, I thought you'd make great Jedi, and so your mothers tried to kill a Wookiee and they died? Or what's he going to tell May and Osha? Is he going to tell him that it was really his terrible emotional screw up? What do you imagine Soul's going to say next week?
Well, I imagine he's going to bear it, his soul. Oh,
wait, hold on.
Yeah.
Ooh.
It's funny because for the last few episodes, I've been sort of projecting, guessing, screenwriting how this is going to happen. I did not expect that we would get an entire episode of backstory. So now that we've seen the whole story, I would love to see more of Soul being Soul, which is basically just, just a lot of excuses.
Justification.
Here's the other thing we need to find out. Is there is one kind of remaining mystery here, Bubba? If you can
I think there are a couple, but let's
guess what is. Well, I mean, one of them is really why Osha left her training and why she thought
she failed, right?
Right. Why she thought, what happened there? We need to know what happened there.
How about this? May kills Indara first. Indara, of the 4 Jedi, was probably the most innocent. And you kill her first?
Well, let's just say that May doesn't know who killed who because she was out and about. But if she did know that 30 of the witches were killed by Indara, I would have saved her for last.
Right. Well,
she's got the biggest body count.
May saw Soul put the lightsaber into Mother Anasea. And yet in episode 2, when May and Soul fight, she isn't as vicious as you would think she might be against him. Is that because the master said you have to do it without a weapon? Like, if I saw somebody who I think killed my mom, I would fight more vicious than May did in episode 2 when she ran into Soul. That's just kind of my thought.
All right. Well, that's an interesting thought. Bubba,
Yeah.
we were talking about the number of people that watch these shows, and
Yep.
we know that
Yep.
Disney Plus is really missing out on sponsorship
Yes,
opportunities.
they are each time.
You don't need to do ads. You just need to do product placement. And so every week we let, for free, Disney Plus know what their missed sponsorship opportunity of the week was.
Yep.
Bubba, we always come up with a different one, and I think so far we are just doing great. They need to hire us as their sponsorship guides. So, Bubba, what sponsorship did you think they missed out on this week?
Well, those witches, they really needed what I would say is some product placement that they could have worn that would have helped them in the end, and that is life alert bracelets, so that they could say, I've fallen and I can't get up.
Who is going to show up at that planet, Bubba? I have to disagree with you on this one. No one's going to show up.
Life alert in 15 minutes. That's what the ad says.
I understand. They're going to come to the planet. Bubba,
yeah.
I think I've beaten you this week. For me, it's when Torben says, we got their DNA test back. He needs to say, we got their DNA test back from 23andMe DNA testing. And here's what they said. Or just hold up the box. We got their DNA test back. Perfect sponsorship opportunity.
Forget M count. Let's look at their heritage. Oh, that's pretty good. Listeners, did we miss a great sponsorship opportunity of the week? How about Roomba? Who's going to clean up all these witches?
All right,
now, speaking of Roomba, there's also the Himbo. The Himbo move of the week. Now, this was a very odd thing that Catfish said. For each episode of The Acolyte, we should talk about the Himbo move of the week. You may be saying, I've watched all these episodes. I haven't exactly seen Himbo moments. Well, listen to Catfish. He will always find them in a dramatic scene. Catfish, what is your Himbo move of Acolyte episode 7?
Well, Bubba, we were all blindsided, especially me, who decided to come up with the Himbo move of the week because the Yord was just himboing left and right, and then the Yord horde pieced out. So now we're having to pick something else with the Keymaster. It was great. Yep. This week, not so strong. I thought the Himbo move of the week was Saul helping Osha cheat on her test.
Yep. That's pretty good. That's Himbo. Do you think Himbos help women cheat on school tests?
Oh, this was all I had for this week. So,
no, okay,
you know what?
All right. Well, did you watch the entire episode? Because to me, I already mentioned it. In some ways, you would think this is a retirees move, but you go to Texas, you're going to see young, available men out there with metal detectors. And so I thought the Himbo move of the week was Cal Naka's Cal Ride, all Cal Ride, Cal Ride. Yes. For everybody who's not watching the YouTube, Catfish, believe it or not, is pretending to laugh. So that's good.
No, it's just your mind is a mystery to me sometimes, Bubba, and it's delightful. All right, Bubba, we also, this show doesn't have a lot of comedy, so I thought we would do once a week. We would try to find the comedy, and that would be the Han Solo comedy moment of the week. Bubba, for this week, I got nothing. You got anything for this week?
How about they're trying to pull on our nostalgia by I think one of the first lines in the episode is Indara saying, "Eat, Padawan. It is unwise to insult a Wookiee's cooking." No, that's kind of ha ha ha. He's a big hairy beast. You insult his cooking and he'll take you out. To me, that's kind of the wry humor of a Stephen Fry or a Garrison Keillor out there on Lake Wobegon. That's my Han Solo moment.
So you also had a real tough time this week. Perfect. All right, let's roll right along.
Sure.
To May's hit list. What Jedi would you kill this week, or what person in real life would you kill? Bubba, I'm going to go first. Obviously, the person who deserves it, who's been on this list the longest and somehow still hasn't been stricken off. It is Soul.
What?
Yes, he got to go, Bubba.
No. I think
Mhm.
who really should be on the hit list?
Mm-hmm.
What is the official story? A fire was started and all the witches died.
Mm-hmm.
So who should be on May's hit list? May. She started the fire. Right? Am I right? Look at the official records. Somebody bring up the Wikipedia piece. It says right here, May started a fire, the witches died.
Bubba, you
Tell me
are
I'm wrong.
Bubba, you are the leading and perhaps only member of the Soul Patrol.
Soul Patrol. Oh boy, but you know somebody who has a lot of soul would probably enjoy Double M's musical analysis.
The Quintuple M, Matt
Double M.
Burdick's Acolyte musical analysis. Let's listen to it.
Hey everybody, Matt here with you. Unfortunately, I'm not at my piano this week, so you'll have to just bear with me on the melodica. But it should work pretty well because you will be able to hear the differences in the melody, as today we're mostly going to be talking about how this main title motif keeps getting morphed into other things. And because it is very similar to Kylo Ren's theme, we've even heard Kylo Ren's theme being played a few times. And the showrunner has admitted that that is intentional, but we've yet to see the answer why. In the meantime, that very same kind of what we call melodic shape keeps appearing with slightly different intervals between the notes. For instance, the main title usually is like it is in the very first episode, sounding like this. Simple enough, right? But it seems like the first two notes stay pretty consistent all of the time, and then whatever the bottom two notes are change based on what the key is or what have you. And there were a couple of different times in this particular episode where, again, you had that half-step drop and then a big drop down and then another jump back up. But there were different notes that were placed underneath those. For instance, the title sequence in this episode is even a little bit different. It goes like this. This time, the first two notes are the same. The last note is the same, but that bottom note is different. It's a full minor third above the normal note that we're used to hearing. Now, you should be able to substitute notes every now and then. That doesn't change it from being the theme. It just applies kind of a different dressing, a variation on it. In actuality, if you put all of the bottom notes together with that last note, you get a diminished chord like this. And all of those notes actually do fit something that can be molded to just about any key at any time. And so the ambiguity of it really helps sell it and allows the composer to use it a lot. But here's the thing. In this particular episode, it was also used in the story elements as well. For instance, when we see Saul kill the mother right in front of May, you hear a variation of it there. Again, you have that half-step drop at the top, and then the bottom notes changes, but then you return back to that home spot that we've been in for most of the presentations of the title sequence. And it's all surrounded by this real dissonant harmony, so that really makes the melody and the differences between the different occurrences of them stand out. And as I mentioned, we have heard Kylo Ren's theme referenced directly. But guess what? We also heard it this time around. Not when the stranger was anywhere around, but rather when Kelnaka tossed the Padawan aside to fight Sol instead. After Sol was begging him to stop, we heard this. That is Kylo Ren's theme. So why is it being applied to Kelnaka? What is the tie between the Knights of Ren and these sisters and this stranger? Musically, we still haven't been given enough information to really figure it out. There's just all kinds of ways that you can vary this motive to where it can be just about anything. And I'm hoping that there will be some answers soon regarding this, either from the showrunner or within the show itself. Maybe it's a season 2 mystery. In the meantime, that one theme that we have been tracking for Osha and Sol didn't have a whole lot of activity this week. But we have now seen the truth, and so I suspect that we will probably get a new variation on this particular theme. And I suspect we'll get it very soon. Perhaps as soon as Osha figures out exactly what we saw tonight is the truth of what happened. Will she feel the same about Sol once she finds out that he killed her mother? And that's all I've got this time around. Back to Bubba and Catfish.
You know what?
What?
He said a lot of things in his time, and that was certainly one of them.
You know, we love listening to the sound of our own voice, if only because it makes you listeners sound even better than you already do. So I think it's time to go to listener feedback, where you guys tell us your thoughts on the recent Acolyte episodes. And in fact, here on episode 7, we have a bunch of feedback. Catfish, Catfish, here's somebody at the beginning who seems to agree with you.
Absolutely. Community survivor Yuki at Who Is Yuki says, hashtag the Sith were right. It's how this episode made me feel.
The Sith. Are you kidding me? The Sith were right. I'm sure once Yuki listens to my reasoned arguments here, defending Sol and Torben, Yuki will be on Team Torben all for the rest of the season.
Bubba, you turned around. You were leading the Soul Patrol brigade, and you turned around and found out you were all by yourself.
Yep, that's true. That's true. Where is the patrol? Our musical expert, Matt Murdock, also wanted to get in on the fun. He wrote his response. He said, Sol, ellipses, 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 did, ellipses, ellipses. And then he left it blank, thing, and it makes me blank. So he's playing a bit of Mad Libs here, Catfish. How do you think Matt Murdock feels about our good hero Sol?
I think it's Sol did a bad thing.
What?
And it makes me sad.
You know what? I'm going to need different adjectives than those for Double M. But please keep playing Mad Libs with us. Now,
okay, Sol did a messy thing.
Yep.
And it makes me mangry.
There we go. Perfect. I'll accept those answers. Another person who reached out to us at Double PHQ on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads, Links Hogthrob at Matt's Test Lab 1 wrote, was an entire flashback episode the right way to reveal this, or was interspersing it throughout a few episodes the right way? I keep thinking about the Jedi as a religion and how flawed it is and how flawed they are while being generally good. They're often sloppy in their execution with a wide blast radius. What do you think of Matt's 2 points? Do you think having solo episodes to the flashback was right, or do you think it should have been like interspersed like he's pitching?
I think it would have been nice to intersperse and sort of, let these things kind of come out. As long as they weren't having super short cuts, as I've complained about in the past. But I'm along with, Matt is my boy. We are both on the same page in that. And what I really do dig about this series is it really feels like the very, very, very first thing. We have Andor, which is dark.
Yes.
But this is the very first series to say, the Jedi always right?
Yeah. Now, they do that on the animated show in an episode here or episode there.
Okay.
And I do think people say it's hard to see, but I do think Lucas was trying to show a bit of the flaws of the Jedi Order in the prequel trilogy. I just don't think that execution was great. I do want to go to Matt's Test Lab thought here about is if you intersperse these flashbacks, through several episodes, then there's a good chance I could have forgotten the things Sol did. And so maybe I would like that better.
All right. And then we have Gen X Cat Mom at All Mod Con says, I really liked it, but would have enjoyed it more if it was placed back to back with the other flashback episode.
Okay.
I feel like it makes more sense in that order. Interesting. 8 out of 10. I got no doubles. LOL. Come on. Right. Come on, All Mod Cons. You can do better than that.
Well, she did 8 out of 10. She rated it better than we did. That we love to hear that. are good, 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 wonderful. And listeners, I love all you guys. Every response we get really makes this podcast fun. It's the only reason why we do it is we love hearing your thoughts. And Camille at Harley Camille said,
first of all, Bubba, get the bell ready.
Camille wrote, I wish they had put this episode combined and had it combined with the first time we got the first flashback. Oh, wow. She's just like Gen X Catmom.
Yeah.
Amen. Camille writes, I want more episodes about how this situation relates to the Sith or Chimere. I agree. We got one episode left. I'm worried they won't stick the landing. Well, the big thing, Catfish, it was real funny when you were talking about, what do we got to find out in the last episode? For me, I want to find out, how does Chimere know all this? How does he know all this? Now, it could just be as simple as, I found May, I could read her mind or thoughts because I'm a powerful Sith Lord. But I want them to say that. I want to know how Chimere, how the Stranger, how the Keymaster, how he knows all these things. And for me, it can't just be like a one-line thing, but I would love to know it.
Well, it's got to be more than, I guess if he just read her mind, but feels like it would be more interesting, to me anyway, if we saw another pocket of people who either follow the ideology of the witches or another group that has a different ideology altogether. We have, again, that's what's really cool about this show. It's like all the time we thought like, okay, everybody looks at the Force kind of the same way. You look at it, and again, you can go to the light side of the Force or the dark side of the Force, but everybody, you call it the Force, and this is how you sort of go forward in it. And it's just really cool to have an idea of like, people are accessing this thing in different ways. And so I would love to see our boy, the Keymaster, a little bit of backstory on his. I am worried there's only one episode left. Now let's go to episode 6 feedback. Our boy, Mark Valentine says it was effing horrible.
Whoa.
Worse than the worst 80s soap opera. The dialogue is pure cringe.
Oh, so Michael did not like, I assume, Osha and the Stranger / Chimere's kind of the Sith flirting, if you will. So, sorry, Michael, that you did not like it.
And you know who else didn't like it was Dan Hickling, who said episode 6 gets 6 triple S's.
Triple S's?
Shredded, skinny, dipping Siths. At this point, I'd even rather see a show about the triple P.
Wait, triple P's?
Pasty, persnickety Padawan than those triple S's.
Wait, another triple S?
Yes, soul squandering sisters.
Oh, man. Ouch, Dan. Well, I wonder if Dan will like this episode for the same reason I did. A lot of dead witches. Now, Nina said she seems to enjoy it, Catfish. Nina wrote, damn, those Chimere scenes were very seductive! ! I did not expect to get these type of feelings from a Star Wars show. Happily surprised.
Yeah, hell yes.
And Nina continues, I'm really starting to like this show and Chimere more and more. Heck yeah, let's go, Nina. Nina's getting seduced to the dark side too, Kevin.
Yeah, Nina's all in. Listen, come on now. The dark side is seductive. Tonight I was seduced to the dark side. I was like, I don't want to go back to Coruscant. I'll stay here. Thank you very much. The Lowdown show about episode 6 is, I think the implication is Soul found out she was May when they were talking about Pip. The episode was kind of filler, but had lots of answers and questions getting explained for episode 7. 7 out of 10. We have our first Sith training we ever seen.
Yeah, well, that's funny that he said that Sith training. And there were moments of training last week. Chimere's naked out swimming, and Osha picks up the lightsaber, and he's like, no, Ray, your stance is good. Raise your elbow a bit. There is a little Sith training there. I like that. Thank you, Lowdown Show.
Heck yes. Heck yes. All right, and Christian Fiorito says, what a great backside. Nice eye candy. She wasn't talking about Soul. She said the full scene will make him an A-list actor. Damn.
All right.
The Acolyte here has got stuff for the ladies.
She likes his Acolyte side. Oh my goodness.
Hell yes. All right, Bubba. So like you said, we only have one episode left.
Hey, Catfish,
I don't know.
Is there anything Soul can do in this final episode to get you back on the Soul Patrol? Is there he made a terrible, boo-boo. Is there any way How can he redeem himself in your eyes, Catfish? What can Soul do?
Besides contribute himself to the Force?
Oh my gosh. How are you? You know what? You've never made an innocent mistake.
Soul needs to join the Force pool. That's it.
Terrible.
He needs to join the Force pool, and then we'll see what happens. Bubba, what are you looking for? I can't possibly see how this is all going to be resolved.
Well, once again, if the Master wants her to kill a Jedi without a weapon, is Soul kind of revealing his shame to the galaxy and seeing the Jedi struck low? Seeing the Jedi knocked down, is that enough? Or does Soul actually have to die?
No, Soul's got to go.
Oh, how could you be so cold? Listeners,
He gets to go.
you know, hey, we're wrapping up the podcast. We still want to know your thoughts. If you're on YouTube, please, we need some likes. Subscribe if you like this silliness. Leave us a comment. Tell us we're wrong. We do take everybody's opinion seriously. I want to honor it. For everybody here at Double PHQ Podcast, my name's Bubba. You can write to me at you can write to me at Fitted Trim on social media. FITTENTRIM at Fit and Trim on social media.
And I'm Catfish. You can hit me up at G to the man. That's GEETOTHEMAN on Blue Sky and Instagram. And we will see you next week, hopefully for Soul's death on
Parsec Passion Podcast. Tell me about your mother, Torben. Torben went out into the wood looking for the grizzly Wookiee, Kalnaka.